Guys, Xerox here with another update before the start of this Formula 1 video. If you guys have started following me within the last year, you didn't know that the previous year I didn't really upload throughout the winter. One of the main reasons is because my family is so big. Another reason is when my kid was born in February of last year, I basically stockpiled my content and uploaded them every week. That way I had enough content for the first few months of him being born. That way I didn't have to worry about record or uploading videos. Similar situation, but not really. As you can tell by the background, I am living in a new apartment with a girlfriend and our kid. And we're basically trying to adjust. And that's why I haven't really been recording or uploading videos lately. But I get them out when I can. So this year and here on out with my kid, some of the videos you'll hear him in the background, some of them you won't. Most likely record at night or when they're not home. Those uploads will go out as best as I can. Not really a set schedule, but I will try to finish this Formula 1 series as well as the Madden series. And then a little controversial note, but I don't know if I will be continuing my Jurassic World series. There's a couple other series out there on my channel that I never finished. That's mainly because of the beginning of my channel, and then I had a lot more popular videos go out, so I started recording more of those. But that's basically it. That's our update, and hope you guys enjoy the video.
Welcome to Budapest once again for another round of the Formula 1 World Championship. Historically a good race for first victories, with Button, Hill, Alonso and Heikki Kovalainen all reaching the top step of the podium for the first time here. 14 corners then for our drivers to navigate at the 2.7-mile Hungaroring today. It's 6 lefts and 8 rights around a lap here, with average speeds in the region of 120 miles per hour. Anthony Davidson also joins me in the commentary box today. Can we talk about Mercedes? What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position. A very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Perez, Hamilton, Charles Leclerc and Norris, Johnson, Verstappen, Ricciardo and Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, George Russell and Ocon, Tsunoda, Giovinazzi, Robert Schwartzman and Nicholas Latifi, Mick Schumacher, Giotto, Aitken and Nikita Mazepin. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Alright guys, if you guys haven't already noticed, we're going to go ahead and change it up for the last half of this series before we move on to the F122 and possibly the F123 game if it comes out before the end of our series. Basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be jumping right to the race, and as you guys can see below, we're going to go ahead and show all of our qualifying times here from Q1, Q2, Q3, or whichever ones we do manage to get, as well as discuss our positions. We're going to be starting in P7, and I believe, as you guys can see earlier, that Carlos Sainz is starting on the front row in P2. Qualifying went pretty well. Could have went a little bit better in Q1, but that was the time that we had without the time. With the time that we were allotted, and basically trying to learn the racing line from practice on this race. And this chicane was a lot of that issue. But in order to save time on these videos and actually get you guys to the main event, we're going to be doing it this way for the rest of the series. And hopefully the race for that championship towards the end of the series will become for Unity, because I am still in the fight against Carlos Sainz. So we're going to wrap up this formation lap and we're going to get the race going. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Alright, here we go with our 5 red lights, P7, and we are off. See Carlos Sainz turns a little bit towards Venturi Studios, takes the inside and gets that first position on that first corner. We go ahead and hold our position in P7. And Ricardo and Max Verstappen trading positions there, as we're trying to fight position against Lando Norris. Coming around the outside of this turn here, trying to fight for that position against Lando Norris. We're still holding on to it as best as we can. He still holds it on the inside and on the outside of these next few turns. Moving up to P6. See Lance Stroll dropping back there a few positions with the McLarens there. Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo, and trying to hold our position against Lando Norris at this moment in this first lap. Currently only holding one additional position from the start of the race. As we go a little bit wide on the sector 2 or sector 3 there, but not too much time lost against Charles Leclerc or Lando Norris. Kind of leading the middle of the pack here on the first lap, as we're trying to get used to the vehicle with everybody else running. And that's going to round out the rest of the first lap here, as we're holding position against Lando Norris and McLaren. Hold a pretty tight line on the inside, and going along the straight there. We don't have any DRS yet, but we are holding on strong. See Lando Norris try to go for the inside. He does not make that move. Holding about 2.5, I was wrong, 3 seconds now behind Charles Leclerc, and moving on to lap 5 here. Lando Norris once again taking the inside, a little bit of contact, pushes me far to the outside, and he spins out a little bit, losing a little bit of time against Lance Stroll. And you can see there that Daniel Ricciardo had to make an early pit. I don't know where he went on the current grid here, but someone somewhere made some contact with him. Moving down through sector 2 here, ran a little bit wide. Lando Norris has enough room to move through, and as we're trying to come back on the track, Lance Stroll does not give us room. Here's the overhead replay of Lance Stroll here, and we're trying to move back onto the track, and he gives us no room. He's still accelerating, and he loses his front wing, bringing out the first caution of the race. We weren't intending on a caution for this race. We only had a one-stop plan, so we had nothing to really worry about here. So lap 5 we go into the pits, and we opt for some mediums that we haven't used yet, coming in behind Lando Norris there. And he's going to be moving us all the way back to the back of the grid here, pretty much, behind Lando Norris. Basically leaving the rest of the race for us to regain those positions and try to get back up into the lead pack. As you can see, Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, who went into the pits, came out in front of us. And we're on to lap 6. And the yellow flag gets lifted on the end of lap 7 and start of lap 8 as we reform our grid here. Restart on lap 8, no DRS for 2 to 3 laps. We're going to be starting in P19 at this time. Pretty good start on the straight. And I didn't want to make a move too soon on Lando Norris, so we didn't really dive for that first corner turn. We didn't want to risk damaging our vehicle any more than we needed to. So we're holding our line as best as possible with Daniel Ricciardo close behind us. Our main goal is to get in front of Lando Norris and Max Verstappen as we're trying to get through the pack. Start of sector 2 here. They have a little bit of debris on the track from a little bit of a collision, not caused by us. I don't know why they hadn't cleared that up before. But after getting past Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris ends up taking a little bit of contact with me on the chicane. See that little hit there. They're side by side, leaving the last of the King in front of us to get past, to get to Max Verstappen. And you can see they're side by side here now, lap 9, which is myself, Max Verstappen now, and the two Alfa Romeos of Mick Schumacher and Luca Ghiotto. Very good livery for this year, this game this year, and I'm really hoping to update some more liveries here within the next season of our F1 Playthrough series. Sure to come in F1 2023 or 2022 if we don't decide on that. But moving on towards the end of lap 9, trying to make a move on Max Verstappen, or Luca Ghiotto, sorry. We end up moving on the inside of the chicane there, getting position against him, push him off the track a little bit. And now it's time to gain our grounds and make a move on Mick Schumacher here in P14. As we are closing in on his position, we're both on mediums, but I do believe the Alfa Romeos did make a pit stop for that yellow flag on P5, or on lap 5, but we hold our speed on the outside of that lane, coming up towards the end of the lap, and we capitalize by holding the inside of the final turn and getting the speed out of that turn in order to get a gap between us and Mick Schumacher. Next up is going to be Nicholas and TV, which I was really hoping that I didn't have to hit. But later on, lap 16, no yellow flags. We are passing the pack, and we make a move on the inside of Sergio Perez, make sure to get a position on him, and as we're going on the inside, we almost hit Esteban Ocon, so we had to slow down, that way we avoid the damage with him. But now we have to deal with Esteban Ocon and George Russell of the Alpines, which are actually running pretty good in this track, halfway through the race, and they're P5, P6 currently. So trying to attack Esteban Ocon, find an opening position, trying to make him slip up. That way we can move into that top 6 position. Holding on to his toe there, the chicane. Trying to make a move, a little bit of contact there from our front bumper on his tires, but no big deal. A little bit stressful with Sergio Perez there, catching up behind us here and there, but no big deal. As we close the gap a little bit on Esteban Ocon, coming up towards the end of Sector 3. And just like before, we try to hold the middle line there, try to keep our speed going through. But it doesn't really matter because George Russell and Esteban Ocon decided to go make their midfield pits halfway through the race, giving us 2 positions, I believe. No, a 3rd one. Pierre Gasly, and actually Fernando Alonso as well. They go into the pits for their, I believe it was a situation. I don't think any of those guys pitted for the pit stop at the very beginning of the race, but we're going to go ahead and capitalize that. Now moving P3, about 19.5 seconds behind Venturi Studios and Carlos Sainz. Moving on to lap 21, we made ground on Carlos Sainz, being about 15 seconds ahead, but we went ahead and went into our pits. And then Sergio Perez went ahead and followed us, tried to keep us on our toes here, pretty much. Gives the rest of the pack a little bit of ground to catch up. But no big worries, we're coming into the tail end of our race, and we're swapping on another set of mediums. See Fernando Alonso, go ahead. I was wrong, Fernando Alonso did stay out. Sergio Perez went ahead and passed us, as well as Pierre Gasly, Lewis Hamilton, and Charles Leclerc. That move on Sergio Perez's part in the pits was very smart. My team was a little bit more hesitant to getting that pit stop done, but no big deal, we love the fight. So we have to regain a position against Sergio Perez and basically fight for points at this point. And we're trying to stay close to him as best as possible. At this point of the race, I wasn't really worried about the chicane anymore. I kept going over towards the beginning, as well as qualifying. That's why our lap times weren't as best as I thought they would. But we ended up passing Sergio Perez and Lewis Hamilton, moving on to the end of lap 25, start of lap 26. You can see us towards the back of Pierre Gasly, try to make a big move on the inside of him on turn 1, and we end up doing so. He gives us the room. We did visibly have that better momentum, so he didn't want to challenge and defend that position, and risk damaging and probably kicking us both out of the race. Now moving on to lap 30, we're about 30 seconds behind Fernando Alonso, is what it says on the screen, but you can see that I am directly behind him there. I believe that timer is meant for Venturi Studios. Yes, I am correct. I'm about just less than 2 seconds behind Fernando Alonso, and Alonso has a 30.5 second gap behind Venturi Studios, with Carlos Sainz leading the race. As I'm basically trying to cut that time down as much as possible, get my racing lines as accurate as possible, taking those turns as best as possible, trying to cut that time down, knowing that I only have 4 laps to get past Fernando Alonso for this race in the Ferrari. Moving on to the end of lap 31, start of lap 32. We are within a second, so we get a little bit of DRS. And there wasn't enough room to really make a move on the inside, so we're right on the back bumper for Fernando Alonso. Say, hey, I'm right here. I'm still fighting for that position, because lap 32, lap 35, we're basically fighting for that podium spot. And a double podium for the Unity Racing team would greatly help our numbers, especially with the Constructors Championship, with it being halfway through the season at this point. Going a little bit wide. It doesn't really affect our time, but there is a little bit more of a gap now between myself and Fernando Alonso. But my confidence with the chicane has grown. Wasn't really sure about that debris there. It didn't register while I was racing, but no effect to us at the time. Moving on to lap 33. It's going to be towards the end of lap 33 here. And just like before, closing in that gap on Fernando Alonso. I stay a little bit farther to the outside to keep my speed up, and I have that DRS as well, being behind him within 1 second. And we went ahead and went to the outside, tried to fake him, go to the inside, and we do take that position from him, taking P3 from Fernando Alonso. 2 laps to go. As we're coming down the hill, we are gaining a little bit of a gap on him, but we do hesitate a little bit, take the inside of that corner. Coming up towards the end of lap 34, it's the opposite situation. Fernando Alonso has a DRS on us, and you can see him coming up on us with that open rear wing. He tries to make a move on the inside, and we end up holding him off to the very end, braking as late as possible, that way we can hold that position against him coming down this hill. I was a little stressed. It was a long race at this point, and all I wanted to do was make sure I could get on that podium without wrecking my car, because what really mattered at that point were those points for our team. And this fight against Fernando Alonso was a very great one. This lap seemed like it went on forever. As we were coming up to the chicane, we hit it pretty well. Went a little wide on the exit there, but no big deal. But we ended up going a little wide on this following turn. Gives it a little bit slack for Fernando Alonso. He moves on the inside and he takes position from us as we're coming towards the end of Sector 3. We're holding our line on the outside. There's a little bit of contact there. You can see that. In another perspective, we're bumping tires, coming on the straight, braking as late as possible. I turn in, I don't want to give him any room, and I'm basically bumping his sidewalls. There's a little perspective there as I'm forcing him out of that inside lane, and we end up holding that position for the end of this race, holding P3 against Fernando Alonso and Ferrari, getting us that much closer to the position to fight Mercedes really well for this championship.
That was a fantastic drive.
A hard-fought win today then, after a very difficult race. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
A show-stopping performance from the three drivers approaching the podium right now. It's been an interesting Grand Prix, that's for sure. Sainz now leads the Drivers' Championship as a result of his great performance today. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
I think it has to be Fernando Alonso. He got the strategy spot on and consistently had the pace to come through as well.
It's time to check out the Constructors' standings. No change in the top spot, but with today's points, their hold on the lead is getting weaker. Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
All right, guys, as you can see, we made a double podium. Carlos Sainz in first place, myself in third place, moving up from 7th. The beginning of the race was pretty stressful, but we managed with the double tire change that we did in that fight towards the end against Fernando Alonso. But the race turned out a lot better than we expected, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.